Am I the asshole because an employee died after I fired her? Throwaway account. I manage a retail shop in a tourist city. I hired an applicant named Bruce. He had a full-time job, but he was the perfect for the 16-ish hours I was looking to cover. Months later, I was looking for seasonal help. Bruce recommended his roommate, a woman with a medical assistant background named Sally. Around the holidays, a lot of people step outside their chosen fields to earn more money. Sally's references checked out and I hired her. Sally's training period was uneventful. During that time, I learned she had type 1 diabetes. We worked out a break schedule so she could eat tests whenever she needed it, and it wasn't a hardship to accommodate her. Her performance was disappointing. When asking for ID with credit cards, she would make comments like, "You gained so much weight since this picture. This is your blonde, your hair is blue. I can't accept this." She would argue about tasks, saying she is a cashier and isn't paid enough to sweep the floor or tidy up merchandise. The job role specified both tasks. She didn't accept feedback gracefully. I told her her employment was in jeopardy. Bruce calls me. They are now married. They sped up the relationship because she needed the health care and he needed her to be on the lease of his apartment. On my end, all I had to do was have them sign liability waivers and schedule them apart. A few weeks later, I get a customer complaining Sally denied him service because she didn't like his tattoos. A second customer calls to complain that not only did Sally deny service because of tattoos, but she pulled down her pants to show him a tattoo on her backside. On camera, I found Sally mooning the customer. I typed up a termination notice and fired her. She refused to sign it or take a copy. I treated the situation as any other. Stuck to, she is no longer with the company, if asked. Bruce didn't quit, but he got angry at me not long after. Sally had applied for a hospital job and was denied because I gave her a bad reference. No one called me for a reference. Sally told them I fired her for being messy and combative about breaks. This is not true, but I can't tell Bruce that. Unless Sally signs a disclosure, I can't share any details of her employment termination with anyone. I called the hospital that denied Sally. The HR department told me that they had an application from her but had not reached out for references as she was not being considered. What I infer from this is Sally lied to Bruce about why she was fired, and then when she was on the job search and it went bad, she told Bruce I was ruining her prospects. Soon after, Bruce calls. He's been trying to call Sally, but she didn't answer. He went home from his other job and found her dead. Complications from diabetes. Bruce quits. He says she would still be alive if I hadn't fired her or sabotaged her, that I am the reason his wife is dead. I didn't tell him she lied to him. I don't see any way that would help with his grief. Am I the asshole?
From Walmart today because a coworker saw my balls.
What?
I usually would wear underwear with shorts if I'm going to be in public, but I've gotten so comfortable with free balling at home that it slipped my mind this morning when I got out of the shower. When I got to work, that was when I noticed, and I was like, oh shit, but as the day went on, I forgot I wasn't even wearing underwear. About 7 hours ago, I was sitting in the break room, manspreading a bit much for my own good, and I was in company of an older female coworker who was sitting directly across from me in the room. She didn't even speak up to let me know that my testicles were hanging out into her view. It wasn't even 30 minutes later when I got called in by my supervisor, and he told me that he was going to have to let me go. When I asked why, he motioned towards my lower body and said, indecent exposure. I instantly felt my body heat up and just replied with, oh, okay, gotcha. A pat on the back and said, sorry, son. The fact that dude was so nice about it kind of made it worse.
My mom fired our housemaid because of some money I took. I'm 19 male, 5 years ago. Our housemaid got kicked out because of me, and I regret it. One day I came back from school with a couple of my friends. Then we decided to rent a PS4 for that day. So I needed some money. My dad wasn't home, and my mother was sleeping. So I looked under one of the carpets, found some money. My mom kept it there. It was more than I needed, but said, let's just take it and buy some extra stuff with it, and was planning on telling my mom when I get back. So when I finished playing, I went back home and found my mom yelling at the maid. And when I realized it was about the money, I couldn't say it was me because she would have killed me. Because why didn't you tell me before? I yelled at the poor maid. So she kicked her out. The maid really needed that job, and her family too. Now, after 5 years, I still visit her family and bring them food to help them and haven't told anyone yet.
Oh. Once I got a guy fired to cover that I was stealing from the till. Since when I was young and stupid, I worked at a convenience store. I'd been nearly there a year and was tight with the couple who managed the store. They hired a new guy who almost had the shift after mine. At shift change, they never verified the tills. I started taking $10 or $20 from the till at the end of my shift, figuring out management would blame the new guy. They noticed pretty quickly the money was missing. They didn't confront me directly, but asked me what I thought of the new guy. In fact, I thought he was okay, but I told them he seemed a little bit nervous and suspicious. It didn't hurt that they had seen him counting the money in the till when he was bored. They fired him and continued to trust me to the point I was offered a promotion to assistant manager. And then there's a few